on the way.
Boogeyman band coming round the bend. Is Boogeyman band? Is Boogeyman band?
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. With this being the weekend that Strangers Chapter 1 is opening, which is the third film in the franchise, but more of a reboot of the entire franchise. The fact that they've made 3 films, this is the first of 3 movies we're going to be getting throughout the course of the year, and I think into early 2025 from my understanding. I thought it would be kind of fun to go back and talk about the last film in the franchise, that being The Strangers Prey at Night, which was released on March 9th of 2018. I covered it on this channel. I did a review. I also did just a retrospective on both films because I hadn't really talked about the original Strangers film that came out in May 30th of 2008. This was a film I didn't see in the movie theaters, but my brother-in-law told me just it was like a movie that he absolutely loved. And I remember when my wife and I bought it, I still have the original DVD that I purchased of The Strangers. Scared the shit out of us, and there was always talk about another one in the franchise, but we'd have to wait 10 years for Prey at Night to come out. And this is a mixed bag for a lot of people. A lot of people that adore that first film do not like this film, still to this day, 6 years later. And with the new film dropping and the reviews being pretty horrendous across the board, I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about this one because for the longest time, this was the redheaded stepchild of the series. And now it seems like Chapter 1 is going to be taking that mantle. But first, I'll give a little background just on this film and then talk about where it stands still for me. Like, do I still love it as much as I did when I first saw it? Where does it rank within, the 2 films right now? Do I prefer this one or the original? So just thought it'd be something fun. Why don't we get started and talking about the history of The Strangers 2 or The Strangers Prey at Night. The Strangers Prey at Night is a 2018 slasher film directed by Johannes Roberts and written by Brian Bertino and Ben Katai. It is the sequel to The Strangers from 2008 and the second installment of the Strangers film series. The film stars Bailey Madison, Lewis Pullman, Christina Hendricks, Martin Henderson, and Damian Maffei. Development of the film began in August of 2008 when Rogue Pictures had confirmed that a sequel was in the works, with Bertino co-writing the screenplay with Katai. It was originally slated to enter principal photography in 2009, during which time it was tentatively titled The Strangers Part 2. And the film would be directed by Laurent Breit. In 2010, the horror website Shock Till You Drop reported that Relativity Media put The Strangers Part 2 on hold because they decided the film might not be in their interest, despite the fact that Universal Pictures was willing to distribute it. However, Rogue Pictures confirmed in January of 2011 that the sequel was again in production and then was scheduled to begin filming as early as April of 2011. Rogue revealed the plot would concern a family of 4 who have been evicted from their home due to the economy and are paid a visit by the same 3 strangers from the first film. According to Liv Tyler, star of the original film, Part 2 was slated for release in 2014 but did not occur. In 2015, The Wrap reported that the sequel was in production and that Relativity Media and GK Films had scheduled the film for December 2nd of 2016 release date, though it was later removed from the schedule. In February 2017, it was announced that Johannes Roberts would be the sequel's new director, and the filming would commence during the summer of the same year. In May of 2017, Christina Hendricks, Bailey Madison, and Lewis Pullman reported as the film stars, and production began in Los Angeles on May 30th. In June of 2017, it was announced Martin Henderson has also joined alongside the other main cast members. Filming began in June of 2017 in Covington, Kentucky, Kincaid Lake State Park in Falmouth, Kentucky, and Lower Cincinnati, which concluded on July 10th of 2017. In the United States and Canada, The Strangers Prey at Night was released alongside The Hurricane Heist, Gringo, and A Wrinkle in Time, and was projected to gross about $7 million from 2,464 theaters in its opening weekend. It made $4 million on its first day, including $610,000 from Thursday night previews. Went on to debut to $10.4 million, finishing third at the box office behind Black Panther and A Wrinkle in Time. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 40% based on 126 reviews, with an average rating of 5 out of 10. The website's critics' consensus reads, The Strangers Prey at Night may appeal to fans of the original who've been jonesing for a sequel, but its thin story and ironic embrace of genre tropes add up to a bloody step back. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 48 out of 100 based on 25 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audience polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average C on an A+ to F scale, down from the B- given to the first film. So what's funny is that I feel like the first film, despite being loved for so long, especially when this film came out and people compared it and just had issues with sort of a change in tone in this one, I felt like a lot of people have sort of turned on the original, especially with the two main characters played by Liv Tyler and Scott Spearman, that being Kristen and James, because they say they make stupid decisions and things like that, and say that it holds the movie back from greatness. There's a lot of people that say that about the original film. I rewatched both of them last night. We just sort of had a little mini marathon, knowing that we were going to see Chapter 1 this weekend. I still think both films are fantastic, but in terms of rewatchability, I find that I don't revisit the original Strangers that much, not because any sort of sins it commits in terms of believability in regards to how these people react to the situation that they're in. It's just not a fun film to watch for me. And I tend to go back to the horror films that I find are fun. There's no humor in that original Strangers film. It is just dread from frame one to the end. And it really bothers me. Not that I don't think it's great. I think it is atmospherically perfect. The strangers themselves are terrifying. I think Brian Bertino did a great job directing it. It is really a gut punch, especially the last few shots of that film. But I loved Strangers Prey at Night right out the gate. I don't really get the criticism towards it, where people think it's sort of a shallow film. It doesn't have, good characters. I think the dynamic of the family in this is even stronger than the original film. Despite how much I love the two main actors in that original film, I am with this family, and I think the fact that they're taking their troubled daughter to boarding school is a great excuse for why they're in this location. Plus, I love the isolated resort location much more than the house. I don't know why. When I was a kid, my grandparents lived in a senior mobile home park, and I loved going there. But I would always go there in the summertime, and it was never scary or anything, but there was things about the Gatlin Lake Resort that really just brought me back to those times where, sometimes at night we'd be walking, just taking a walk through, the maze of mobile homes, and it just brought me back to that time. And, while this film does have some eerie moments, I don't find it scary. I find it just a thrill. And it also has terrific throwbacks to movies that I loved growing up, like The Fog and Christine. There's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre reference in it. There's some terrific use of music, from, Air Supply to Bonnie Tyler. There's just amazing use of camera angles. The scene at the pool is one of my favorite set pieces, and I think it's the best set piece in the entire franchise. Again, I haven't seen Chapter 1 yet, but I love that scene so much, and I love the way Damian Maffei as the masked killer and Lewis Pullman pull that off. Just how Luke finds himself at the pool location, and then from the background, you see it kind of in the distance, and then there's a zoom in just as Pinup Girl is running towards him. And then there's that interaction, and then you have the masked killer show up with his axe going to attack Luke. And it was so amazing seeing on the big screen, and I still I get so amped up every time that scene happens, because you have the song Total Eclipse of the Heart playing, and I just think it's brilliant. And I love Bailey Madison in this because she's such a complex character, but you understand what she's going through as a teenager. She's rebellious, she's angry, but there's this sadness to her, because she feels like she's being unfairly punished for something that you never understand what it is that she's done to get to this point. But Cindy, the mother, played by Christina Hendricks, she feels like it's that they have to do it in order to sort of save her from herself before it's too late and there's no going back. And there's just this terrific tension between the family, and then they're put into this horrible situation. And I just think everybody in the film does a brilliant job. And this movie, the end of this movie gets me. I love so much about it. Some of it is, you might talk about impracticality, but it works for me. And I remember walking out of the movie theater going, this is going to be fucking awesome. People are going to love this movie. And then there was like a backlash against it. And now it seems like we're seeing the same backlash on Chapter 1. Even people that love this movie that I follow here on YouTube, like Drum Dums or The Lost River Drive-In, they both love this film and they don't like Chapter 1. So I have no idea what I'm in for. But yeah, this is my favorite Strangers film, and I love the soundtrack. I listen to the soundtrack all the time. I've watched this film probably 40 times in the last 6 years since it came out, and I've probably watched the first Strangers about 6 times. So that just shows how much more I have fun with this movie. And like I said, it just all comes down to all of the elements working for me. The family dynamic, the strangers themselves, the location, the music, the atmosphere. The ending really just is that last 20 minutes of this film are fucking awesome. And I can't recommend it enough. And I think Johannes Roberts did a terrific job directing this and picking up the reins from Brian Bertino. But yeah, I love this film. It was a great sequel. So I'm curious if other people feel the same way. Are you fans now of Strangers Prey at Night? Is it one that sort of over time it became more popular for you? Is it one that you still don't care for? And do you still prefer the original? Let me know down in the comments section below. Would love to hear people's thoughts on this. And as always, thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. And I promise there's more Strangers content coming very, very soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Peace. Hey, my fellow Fright Fiends, I just want to thank everyone for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you haven't yet subscribed and you'd like to, please hit the subscribe button down below. Click the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I try to drop a video at least once or twice a week. The Horror Zone is a passion of mine, and it really makes me happy that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Peace.